All right, good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome into NFT Live, another edition, 261st episode of NFT Live. And I've got some good homies here. And it is a good day. It is a good day. You guys want to know why? I'm only going to tell you this if you agree to get hype with me. So I need to hear you guys first. I'm about to share some amazing, amazing news. A great announcement that just came across my desk, as Gifted would say. Are you guys ready to get hype? I'm you're muted on both of my.
Oh shit,
my
we're both muted.
Both
Ha ha ha! We're both muted. Ha ha
ha! All right, let's call it,
bro.
Let's
just end of the show.
In that
I was gonna say new windshield. Q, is that you're hyping up the new windshield?
I'm hyping. Well, yeah. First of all, yeah, my windshield did get bashed in on Monday. I had a terrible day, but I did get that replaced. Good to see you guys have microphones because WAGMI United is shipping their merch this month. Let's go!
Let's go, dude. I need my jersey.
Bump up.
Man. Is it gonna be personalized? It's taking too long, man. It better have my name on the back of it.
I don't think you're getting that.
Fuck.
That's a great way to start today's episode, is getting the update from WAGMI United that they have officially started to ship merch. So we're glad to report the jersey and hat sets will be packaged up soon and begin shipping merch. So, okay, no shipment has been made yet, but they are packaging it up, folks. And we are getting our jerseys either this month or next. So,
but we're not getting our scarves.
Hey, don't ruin
a jersey, moment. A hat, and a scarf?
Don't. We haven't had a chance to talk positively about WAGMI United in like 10 years. So please let it live. What's up, folks? We see you, Flubber. I saw Hash Rhymes, Justin Casey, Prodigy saying anytime a country transition to a fiat currency. Okay, here we go. Right off the bat. Anytime a country transition to a fiat currency, they collapse. That's just world history. You don't have to know about cryptocurrency to know that. Nipsey Hussle. So bringing in some nip here on today's episode. We got a Kane Mayfield little pin there that Gift Dad's working with. We're so happy that you guys tuned in on this hump day, on this Wednesday, March 22nd, in the year of our Lord 2023. I'm hyped, man. I don't know if you could tell. The espresso just hit me as we went live. So I am freaking stoked. I'm here with Gift Dead and Ronan the Collector. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. Let's go around clockwise. Ronan, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's been a good busy week as always. I feel like it's always busy, but man, I don't know, it feels like today I woke up with a little more pep in my step, so for me it's a good day, man. How you doing, Gif?
I'm a little bit tired, not gonna lie. I was out late at Disrupt LA last night, but I'm surrounded by the projects and the people that I love. I've got some Mutant Ape, Bored Ape merch. I got my Horde Dead Fellas shirt. Just got my Kane Mayfield pin, and I get to hang out with y'all, Ronan and Q, and we got Jack's Hideaway, who I got to see briefly and chill with for a minute last night in the chat. So it's a good day. I'm tired. NFT LA is in full swing, and I've been out every night, it feels like, for the last 6 days, but I'm here. I'm happy to be with y'all.
Hopefully you recover a little bit faster than Eat Denver after this LA piece. So you get to sleep in your own bed. That's important.
That's the goal, man. I'm really trying not to overdo it and just get totally fucking wiped out again.
Awesome. All right, here's the tweet for today. Is alt season upon us, and is that good for NFTs? Join, obviously, us three up here. We couldn't get Fun Uncle. We tried to get Uncle on the episode. He's got busy Fun Uncle things to be doing. So hopefully he's having a good day. The other announcement, Prodigy's saying I'm too hyped up right now, but it's because Counter-Strike 2 just got announced. There's just multiple things just being just racking my brain right now. So we get a Counter-Strike 2 arriving in summer 2023. This makes my inner gamer just the nostalgia just hit me hard when I see recreated, not even reimagined, just cleaned up old maps like D-Dust. I think Mirage was on that list. I'm tingly right now. So we're getting to Counter-Strike 3 summer 2023. I don't believe there's an NFT component, unfortunately. We haven't sold the Counter-Strike guys on NFTs yet.
Nah, Gaben is not having it, man. Not having it. If you want to see that, you better go somewhere else, like the Epic platform.
Well, we're going to be seeing some of that. We briefly touched. I don't know, Ronan, if you've been following Dr. Disrespect's Dead Drop launch, but we want to get into the Dead Drop launch here today because we did see a little bit of gameplay there. The beta's out here today. So, what are you guys doing? I'm just kind of getting the episode started. I'm going to drop that Twitter link here for you guys to potentially like and retweet if you can out there. But what are you guys up to just this week? I know, Gifted, you're doing NFT LA, but Ronan, what's on the docket this week? You working anything in the magic with Super Plastic?
Oh man, dude, I had a really cool call earlier today talking to some ticketing partners for something. And we've got like some cool shit going on, man. I actually had some really crazy calls this week. I actually talked to some people about AI. I talked to some people about ticketing. I talked about holograms. I've talked about a lot of shit this week. Tech stuff, which is cool, man. NFT wise, we're really pushing Web3 in our initiatives, and I'm really excited about that. I mean, it takes time, right? Like when you're trying to figure out like how does Web3 play into a brand on like a wide level and like in a way that makes sense for a brand outside of like fucking PFPs and shit, right? But I think we're starting to find the groove, and now like things are starting to pick up. We're doing some product testing and things like that, man. So I'm excited.
Love to hear it. Gifted, anything else going on later in the week NFT wise for you? Or are you just trying to survive LA?
Yeah, trying to survive LA. I mean, it's just getting through like the different satellite events that I want to go to. So tonight, Jessica Yatrovsky is flying into LA and she's doing a private room 707 event at the Astor Club in Hollywood. So I'm excited to see Jess. As always, whenever she can make it to LA, I'm always excited to try and hang out with her and any of the other room 707 people that I get to hang out with. So yeah, there's like one or two other events that I'll try and get to this week. But honestly, I've kind of hit most of the ones that I was excited about already, and they've all been really cool. On a separate but related tangent, the main conference, Outer Edge, as they called it, what NFT LA was rebranded to for the main conference. What I've been hearing, again, I always just do the satellite events for the most part, unless it's like a VCon or something really unique and I think well organized and valuable. I usually get all the value from doing the satellite events and the cool networking things around the main conferences. So I have not stepped foot in Outer Edge, and I have no desire to, but I have heard from people I've talked to that I'm not the only one. I've heard it's not great. There's not very many people there. And it hasn't been the best conference or experience. So more to come on that. I'm trying to get one or two of the people that were actually part of the event or were going to come on our shows and kind of give their take, their feedback on what they saw, what's going on. But just for people who are curious about the actual, like there's a lot of really cool satellite events. Like the satellite events I've been to have been great, actually. Like overall, I've actually had a really, really great time and had amazing networking opportunities. But yeah, the conference itself here doesn't seem like it's been very good.
Feels like par for the course, though, right?
For a lot of them, yeah. I mean, it's again, I think it's especially hard when you're in these big cities and you don't have like a big central organizing, force or like a big reason for like why everybody wants to go to this one place. Or when there's all these other competing cool side events happening, it makes it even harder, right? So,
Okay. All right, well, we're going to get the episode started here in just a second. Prodigy is asking, with everything going down the way it is in Web3, I need to know what Biggie has been up to with the 547 projects he got into after New Year's. I would love to get the update there. Phil's in the house. We'd love to see Phil in here, our Vibe, our tribe, man. Flubberoony saying one day maybe we get NFT gear in Diablo. I was never a Diablo player. I know there's a avid fan base there, but I don't, play Diablo that much, unfortunately. So sorry about that one. All right.
Tell you what,
what's up?
I'm not a huge ARPG Diablo fan or whatever, but I did play the beta, and that ended up sucking me in this weekend, dude. I got sucked in. I was playing Diablo 4 all fucking weekend, and then Monday, whatever, when they turned it off, I was like, now what the hell am I going to do?
Get into Dead Drop.
Rocket League.
Oh man,
Rocket
Dr.
League.
Disrespect. Yeah,
I might
don't
have
do Rocket League.
I think I retired my controller on Rocket League, dude, because otherwise it's just going to get fucking broke. And it was a $200 controller. So,
Okay.
A lot of rage quitting happening.
Gif, let's hit him with the do not buy the shit we talk about disclaimer, and then we can start into our quick hits piece of the episode. Thank you guys again for joining us. Leave a like on today's episode as we get rolling here. We'll let some other people trickle in, but are you going to tell people not to buy shit? What's going on?
I will do as you command, Nifty Q. This is not financial advice, everybody. If you're hearing my voice, if you're watching this show, just know this is not financial advice. And information was found publicly on the interwebs. We say this a lot, but we're going to keep saying it because it's important for your safety and for ours. Opinions shared on this episode are solely of the Web3 team, and all information is public domain. So please do your own research, or DYOR, as we like to say in the industry, in the space. We're not financial advisors.
I might be one day. We'll see. All right. Here's what we're waiting on. This is going to pop while we're live here. The Fed is basically voting on whether to raise interest rates again. The predominant feeling is that they will, but only by 0.25 percentage. So only 25 basis points. If it goes any higher, people are going to get freaked out. If it goes any lower, to quantum variance point, potentially people could look at that as like them being very worried that if they raise interest rates, people are going to start freaking out. So really, we're all hoping for a 0.25% interest rate hike here as that goes live at 2:30. So we might be on, we might not, but we will see what Sir Jerome Powell has to say about where we should go in the market. A lot of other things happening in NFTs and crypto as well. Proof Collective. This was unfortunate to see. Let me make sure I've got the right tweet here. This comes from ProofJ.eth. Proof Collective. Shout out to Proof hitting the Century Club. 100 ETH down from all-time highs. This is a 12 ETH floor. Proof Collective got all the way up in the bear market or the bull market, if you can remember, to 120 ETH. If you bought Proof Collective passes at 120 ETH, I'm feeling for you.
I would love to know how many people actually did buy at that level. Did anybody? Like, who was buying at 120 ETH? You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to know the numbers on that.
You're muted, Ronan.
There was volume. When Proof was at the top, there was volume, man. But like, how real was the volume? I don't know. I just don't understand. I don't know, man. I could part with an ETH. I can part with 8, 9, maybe 10 ETH. But I think that's still the top, man, for me. I can't imagine 100 ETH coming out of my wallet and being like, well, let's just see what happens.
The only way that I would even think about spending that amount, and I wouldn't, to be honest, like the net return is just the chances that you're going to get a 2x even are so low, is that they thought potentially it would yield, the grails and all these other things that could potentially, get the
clip a 5 ETH there, clip
down.
another 10 ETH there,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
So,
the Yuga model, make up for it.
Tough one on that. We're going to get into the chaos going on with Russia and China here in a second and what that means for the market. We're going to stay broad. I would love to get y'all's take there in chat as well. But a couple other micro hits here about the NFT space. And guys, drop any links if you have any that you want to touch on. Magic Eden just launched a marketplace for Bitcoin ordinals. So this is important because, previous to this, it was kind of hard to trade, to buy, sell, and trade ordinals, NFTs on Bitcoin. So Magic Eden claims that its Bitcoin ordinals marketplace is the only fully audited platform in the ecosystem. Bitcoin ordinal wallets Hero and Xverse will be integrated into the platform. At launch, Magic Eden will be partnered with 13 leading Bitcoin ordinals collections. This feels like a good move for Magic Eden. I know that they were a big Solana marketplace for a long time, but they see the action that's happening on the Bitcoin blockchain with NFTs and inscriptions. Feels like a good move for them.
Yeah, I think like the with how quick Magic Eden has incorporated other chains right? Like I've been pretty impressed, honestly. Like they've been like really quick to like bring on other chains and open up their marketplace. So not surprised that they're like the first to really get out there and do it with Bitcoin ordinals. Although I am curious just like what that market looks like. You know, I feel like I haven't heard about ordinals in 2-3 weeks. So
Can we, yeah, 12-fold killed it, just like the other deeds killed the ETH market.
yeah.
Can we actually pull up? Can we pull up this Magic Eden market and look at it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. God, we are just like all over the place with the mute button today. We're just spamming the mute button today.
It's one of those days.
I wish my Kane Mayfield buttons could actually just function as a mute, release, just like utility.
A play-in.
Yeah, just tap it, kind of like the Star Trek. You're just like, beam me up or whatever.
Okay, so Gamma.io is another ordinals marketplace here. Where people come together, create, and collect what's next. Gamma is the open marketplace for Bitcoin NFTs. You can see top collections here. So DeGod's NFTs, and again, I think that DeGod's NFTs, these inscriptions had to be burned. So there's different features here, I think, for different inscriptions. Like I saw some apes that were being sold, but you didn't have to burn the original. So here's the floors for each of these. Here's the action. So this is always my problem with the like. I feel like the analytics just aren't built out to track shit like this.
Yeah, it's like very basic.
So there you go.
Okay. Here.
So volume there, 2 BTC. Megapunks
in the last
or no
month.
Eggs. Yeah, this is the last month. So not a lot of action. I mean, is this? I think this might just be on Gamma though. So I'm not even sure. So Magic Eden Marketplace, I didn't see an actual link off to the marketplace. Let's see. Maybe we just go to Magic Eden's website.
Check it out in chat though. We got a couple questions. Thoughts on the NFT Now Pass dropping tomorrow?
It could be interesting. Honestly, I haven't spent enough time looking into it. But I mean, obviously, we are also trying to create a community. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're.
NFT Now is a media company.
Yeah, but they started very top down VC, and now they're trying to position themselves as community driven. That's what I see, and it's like, okay, that's fine, and this could be a cool way. Again, if you want to be part of what NFT Now is building, I do think that this can be interesting and provide some utility. And so, again, like whether or not their ethos or their interests in actually being community focused, if they're like truly community driven is true, or if this is just a way for them to launch a token and get more people engaged. I don't know. I can't speak to all that but again, their history is very much top down VC, that way. They've been the ones that have all the agencies, shilling the Snoop Dogs and the Miguels and all that stuff through them. That's what they are, but they are also the leading sort of like NFT crypto native media company out there right now. And so that in of itself to me is interesting to see how this goes. I'll be watching it. Will I buy one? I don't know. Maybe we should. Maybe again, as far as like trying to create strategic alliances, maybe Web3 Network should buy one of these passes and see like if it actually opens up a cool opportunity for us to be collaborating in some way. I have no idea though. So I just haven't spent enough time researching.
Yeah, I'm interested in what features, utilities it offers. Take your shot for utility being said on this podcast, and this show. Okay, so the Gamma and
Q. I'm staying away from
stay away from this. Yes, so. For at least a month. Magic Eden and Gamma, if you look, so these are both kind of filtered by the last month, so the last 30 days. It looks like there's not a lot of secondary volume, at least on these two platforms as it exists today. I know that the trading was happening OTC for a while and all these different things, But right now, based on these two, it looks like only DeGods is really having any type of volume. You can see 2.11 BTC volume there. And then if you filter over to the Magic Eden, there's been a lot, like almost 4 times the amount of volume from DeGods here on Magic Eden. Obviously, there's a tie-in there. Magic Eden was a big Solana marketplace, so like there's a tie-in with DeGods there. But everything else is like below even point. The next one is like 0.25 Bitcoin. So just not a lot of volume on these two marketplaces right now. I don't know what the overall, that's the other tough thing is like, if the trades are happening OTC, how do you even track that with any, sort of validity when it comes to what the volumes are for these secondary trades? I don't know.
No idea. This is part of why I haven't really gotten into ordinals yet, because again, it's all very confusing still. It's not very friendly, and I think there was a lot of hype around it that I think there's probably a lot of people that have already probably gotten wrecked, or at least in the short term, that hyped in to certain things that probably have no liquidity or like really even path for liquidity, or an easy way for people to understand how to get in. I mean, what I was thinking about when we were talking about ordinals like the other day is just that, like, if we're looking at how small the actual size of the NFT market is right now of like active traders, like we already know it's like 10,000 active wallets on Ethereum or something. And what percentage of those are just wash trading? It's probably a high percentage. Like, let's just guess right now, maybe there's 5,000 like legit active traders in the entire like ETH NFT space. Like, how many active traders are there in Bitcoin ordinals? You know what I mean? Like, it's a niche market of a niche market right now. So while yes, there might be opportunities to collect some very sort of interesting early inscriptions, if you're going in thinking that you're going to like trade and flip things quickly, I think that it's very difficult and risky. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
Like anything, but
illiquid.
Like even more liquid. You know what I mean? Like,
the only thing that's liquid here in this market are Blur projects that are going for floor. That's the only liquidity we have.
Yeah.
Gifton's going to get pissed off if I keep going. We do want to talk a little bit about Blur. Ronan, I want your take on what you've seen here with Blur and some of the things that are happening with like CryptoPunks floors, going wild and then kind of plummeting. A lot of it has to do again with the way that Blur's incentives are aligned. But Squashman just joined us, our Vibe, our tribe. Prodigy, I do see your comments. We'll get to them. Nox Darkness says happy hump day. Just in case, he says my bad for bringing them NFT now. I'll look at that. We'll bring up the ticket. We'll take a look at what they offer.
No, I think it's interesting because again, like that's what we're doing here is like we are actually authentically community driven from the ground up, trying to create a community driven media company. And I want to see their take on it. I don't think that they are coming from that originally. And I feel like they're trying to refashion themselves as community driven.
Yeah,
that's my one sort of like. Okay. But I'm still very interested to see how they're doing. And I will say anecdotally that I heard that their event that they did during Art Basel, like their first big event that they did, was actually really cool. So I'm pretty sure that's part of the utility is access to events that they do. I'm pretty sure that's definitely part of it.
Strong utility there. Okay. Hey, look, Squashman just said, just joining. Did you guys see the Other Side second trip update post a little bit ago? No. But we will also watch this with you. So we are watching a Other Side update from the Other Side Twitter. This just like posted like 5 minutes ago. So we're going to watch this with you. Okay, the last time we did a live reaction here on the channel, I believe it was to the Porsche NFT drop, and we went through the website all the way. Gift is just going to turn into a Kane Mayfield pin by the end of this show. All right, I'm going to pull this up one more time. We're not going to listen to it this time. I'm going to keep it muted. But initial reactions here. We just saw this live. It looks like we had some different Voyager skins that are going to be involved. So you can see this. All of us were essentially one Voyager last time. It looks like we got different Voyager skins. This could be potentially based on whether you're a mutant, whether you're a Bored Ape. Like there's a lot of different things. We got different creatures. I don't even know what that is. Looks like a Lick the Toad, toad there. So what are your initial reactions?
My initial reaction is, can they stop doing these at 12 o'clock on Saturday afternoon? I'd like to take part. My daughter has soccer games every Saturday around that time, so I probably will miss it again.
Oh,
but it looks really freaking cool.
I like Don R's immediate question is like, is this all AI generated? Is that Toad AI generated? Yeah, it looks like it could be. I don't know if it is or not, but dude, it looks phenomenal. I mean, again, as far as like aren't they turning? Isn't this going to be the first time that also you're able to do multiplayer shit? You know what I mean? Like
So multiplayer in what sense? That's the question, because we all were kind of there together, taking part in that instance there on the first trip. They said it was going to be a little bit more wide open when it comes to like the environment this time. So that's one thing I will say.
Just look at the environments though. They're fucking rad. It's like, this is, to me, it's just, this is so much cooler than fucking Sandbox, bro. It's just like, this looks like a fucking awesome 3D immersive world with like trippy fucking creatures and environments and all the different types of land and the different IP that are going to be included. And they're all going to be super high quality, and you're going to have a bunch of different interesting utilities brought in through the NFTs that you own. Like, this is just way more interesting than anything else, man. It looks great. And look at the floating platforms and shit.
Mike Erlandson is saying, so the sewer pass and the summoning that's happening right now, obviously everyone got their boxes, right? We all got different boxes based on where we rated in Dookie Dash. He's saying hopefully those aren't the mech suits. I will say I don't think that they will be. No,
because dude, remember they showed concept art for mechs.
Yeah, I don't think they're the mechs either.
No, to me, what this is and why this is cool, specifically what they're showing here with the different Voyagers, is, again, big picture, they have got to be able to make this thing playable and enjoyable and cool for the average user that doesn't have thousands of dollars of NFTs. So they're simultaneous. Like, think about like building in parallel here. There's multiple objectives that they're building for. One of them is that like just the free entry normal gameplay is also cool and sticky. You know what I mean? Like they've got to create an experience for just the normal person that's just checking it out, that doesn't have a Bored Ape, that doesn't have a sewer pass, to have a reason to come in and spend time here. So the fact that you've got multiple customizable different Voyagers is cool. They look dope, right? And to me, that's just part of building out the sort of free to play regular experience that anybody can hop in and start to understand like why this is cool. Yeah. I think the mech suits are going to be closer to the concept art that they shared, which are going to be way more wild.
Yeah, so this is essentially what the original Voyager looked like, and then as you kind of go, you can kind of see that there's different evolutions of these Voyagers now. I think they're just showing off different avatars and customizability. I think that probably will help people feel unique, because we all look the same in the last trip. Here's one thing I'm looking at in this is like where is the environment that we can interact with? If you look closely, this looks like steps, right? Like you can kind of see as this guy's up here on the step, there's another Voyager down below that is taking a jump. So you see him and they're kind of jumping. I don't know if they almost look like ants, so hopefully you can see that. But you can see those steps lead to these jellyfish or whatever the hell they are. So it looks like that might be part of, again, like the sequential instance, because that's how it worked last time, right? You started at one point and then they took you sequentially into like an instance, like a dungeon. If you're used to like World of Warcraft, they basically have a storyline that you walk through. So this looks like, look, you go down and then you hop up and then maybe it takes you off into the distance. Um, yeah, there look like multiple toads as well. So if you So we see multiple toads there. You see the toad here. So there's a toad over here. So there's like two different portals.
Bro, I love having cool, crazy, different creatures populated in there. It's and then you start to think about the gamification of all that too, right? Like good games, they incorporated a lot of different sort of like side quests and missions and different things that you can do with the world and the environment, including the different animals that inhabit these worlds, and to get to start to see like the natural inhabitants of what these crazy environments look like. Again, it's like we've had these other deeds, all these different concepts, these proof of concepts for these different styles of lands and things like that. But we really haven't seen, other than maybe codas, what do the creatures look like that live in these worlds? So that's really cool to start to see some of that. And again, just understanding the quality and attention to detail that's going into building out all these different lands and styles. Because I'm sure, like, well, I would think, I'm not sure, right? It was speculation here. I would think that each of the different biome types has a little bit different characters.
Yeah, no, 100%. That will be the just like there's different areas in like I keep going back to World of Warcraft. That's my frame of reference, but there's other MMOs. But like in different areas, you see different, for lack of a better term, flora and fauna kind of like situation where the environments look different, the characters look different. That is 100% what you'll see in those different swamp areas. I wonder this looks important, right? Like I don't know what the lore says, but this lore of a meteor crashing down into the other side. Have we seen a meteor yet?
Is it a meteor, or is that how people enter the other side? Because don't you drop? Well, that's the portal.
That's the portal. So we saw the initial. This is the same kind of look as the portal the first time.
Yeah. Mike Erlinson is totally fudding.
Let's get to some of these quotes. You guys can get.
I don't know. I kind of like. I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like we don't really need a bajillion people like taking shots at metaverses, like. But I don't think that's what Yuga's really doing. Like, I feel like, to Gift's point a little bit earlier, I think they're trying to launch a game. I don't think that this is like trying to be a metaverse. I don't think they're trying to market it as like, Zuck's competitor, right? But like, I think they're just trying to make a game that's going to be accessible by, anyone that will have some type of tie-in to Web3. And I think that is a good approach. I will say it's really interesting. My son actually, to your point about the FUD about Sandbox, my son actually came over to me the other day and he was watching this video on YouTube, and it was like on this channel he watches all the time. And it was this kid and he was playing the Sandbox. And my son was like, "Dad, can I play this game?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is the Sandbox? Like, how are you like even aware of this?" So that was really interesting to me. And I think that like, this is another approach of that, right? Like, but I think this one hopefully feels a little better, looks a little better, like, and makes a lot more sense. I still have mental hurdles with the Sandbox and the approach that they've been taking.
That's a nice way of putting it. I just think like, yeah, I totally agree on the sentiment that we don't need a zillion metaverses. And it's kind of just like it is a cool thing when you have a very talented artist create a virtual world in their style and you see their art come to life in like a 3D environment. Like, I get why that's a thing and an interesting application of an artist's skill set to like create this thing that people can go immerse themselves in your own world, in your own, art style, and like do that. And I think that that's getting kind of conflated with the sort of bigger, again, this metaverse. It's confusing when you talk about like little m versus capital M metaverse and all these different virtual worlds. I don't think everybody needs a quote unquote metaverse. And this is where I start to feel like we should stop using the term metaverse for all these different like experiences that people are just creating and popping up. because I think it's just confusing the shit out of like everybody. Like I don't think it's really a helpful way to talk about it. I don't think we need a million metaverses. I don't think we need a million virtual worlds. Most of them are proving that they have no reason to exist right now, and that's why they have no active users. But we do need some people to drive forward the experience and the quality and the utility and the potential and the application of this technology. So that's what I see here is that Yuga is pushing the boundaries forward. They are actually creating things that nobody else has done at a quality and a level that nobody else can. So, you know, you can sit here and tell me we don't need another metaverse, but like we need one or two good ones. We need a success story. Like we need the real Web3 games that actually are doing cool shit that matter, because where are those? They don't exist yet. So that's to me the move here is that they're creating an actual real product that matters.
The cool thing here as well with what the other side is able to do is it's able to communicate and start to have people get involved with the lore of what they're trying to build, right? Like I'm sitting here on just the Twitter thread or the Twitter timeline of just searching OTHERSIDE because I know that there are going to be some apes that figure out all this shit 5 seconds after it drops. And here's an example, like right below the main video, Pipe Hitter is saying, "Hey, that actually looks like a mecha." So let's go back to the original video.
No, that's just one of those Voyagers.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's just a Voyager. It's just a Voyager from behind, man. That doesn't look like a mech. It just looks like a Voyager.
It looks like it. Yeah. It looks like it's.
I think it's the angle.
I think it's the angle too.
It's the angle. It's from behind. I think it's like.
I agree. I don't. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think again. I think what you should be doing is pulling up that concept art and comparing that.
Yeah.
Because that concept art looks way different than the Voyagers.
Yeah, definitely. And to your point, like I'm in like these like ape groups and they're like obviously popping off right now, like people talking about the trailers and stuff. So yeah, everybody gets on it, man. And that's like part of the fun, right? Like that's part of why I think like a lot of people jump into projects like 10KTF and things like that, right? Because there's this lore that gets revealed through these videos that you can pick over and you can chat about and you can talk about and we all love to speculate. You can speculate over, right?
But also don't forget the vast majority of people on Twitter don't know what the fuck they're talking about and are full of shit. like for real, man. You know what? I have to, you know what?
Here. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Before you get to that, because I want to get to a couple different pieces here and then round out the OTHERSIDE trip gifted. The so Warm XYZ. So you're gonna be able to do this in like from like a cold wallet, you can kind of signal to a hot wallet that you can play on. So that's good. There's also a first trip obelisk piece that you're going to be able to get from participating in the first trip. And then the second trip is going to have a guest feature. So you can see here, let's see. Voyagers holding other deeds will have the opportunity to attend a second trip provided that they arrive at the experience on time and before the main story begins. Voyagers will also have the ability to invite a guest to the second trip. We'll provide more details, but Voyagers will no longer be able to join the experience once the second trip reaches capacity. So I wonder what that capacity looks like. But so we have the obelisk piece, and then we can bring a guest as well. Those were not features of the first trip. So that's it for me on the other side. We'll obviously come back tomorrow and see what cool lore pieces that people can kind of dig up. The Legends of Mara poster was not for the second trip. Was that connected to this?
Maybe. I mean, we might not know yet. We might not know yet. It might be that might be one of those sort of against side missions. Like they didn't reveal what was going to happen in the first trip. Like you didn't know you're going to battle a giant code. You know what I mean? It's like there might be parts to this trip that they're keeping under wraps because they want it to be a cool experience that everybody freaks out about. So maybe that's where it'll all come to fruition.
Okay.
What's the date though? What Saturday? Is it this Saturday?
This Saturday.
This Saturday. Sheesh. Let's go.
All right.
Let's not go. Next Saturday. When I don't have a fucking soccer game.
I'm sorry about that, Ronan. Well,
second one, man. I missed the last one too.
all
I'm
right,
about to have a
Flubber's
talk with my wife.
Flubber, yeah, good luck with that one. Flubber's saying Chicken Derby Metaverse, which is bringing up very big PTSD. In my opinion, a WoW-like game with full Web3 interactions is the only shit that makes sense since to call it a metaverse, like maybe a Minecraft version 2, but maybe I'm dumb. Mike Erlinson saying I'm all the FUD. And Marty McFly saying GIF looking like a billboard ad. So GIF, before I tried to round out that second trip piece, what were you talking about dumb people on Twitter?
Well, okay, first and foremost, I will gladly be a billboard for talented artists and people in the community that I love, like Ken Mayfield. Anytime that somebody mentions the words Chicken Derby, I immediately think of Kagi. So shout out Kagi, wherever you are. Dude, I can't separate
that.
I can't separate Kagi from Chicken Derby in my mind. And then yeah, on the quick Twitter rant, there's a lot of stuff, going on, especially in the space with toxicity right now for various reasons. Like a lot of people that get put up on pedestals and get a lot of attention on Twitter are miserable losers, period, full stop. And the more that I go to events and like meet the people IRL from crypto Twitter and from NFTs and all this type of stuff, just know if you're ever like feeling down that like, there's these awful people on Twitter or somebody's mean to you, or like you see people on Twitter that are acting certain ways that you disagree with, just know that most of these people that are trolling on Twitter, that act like assholes on social media, if you ever met them in real life, you wouldn't want to be their friends. Like, they're not cool people. Like, most of them suck. Like, they're not even people I would ever want to hang out with. Like, I see these people and I'm like, oh, no wonder you're a fucking troll on social media. Like, you suck. Like, your personality is awful. So it's just the more that I go out there and see like what's really happening, just know that like the engagement and like people thinking that you're cool because you get a bunch of followers, or like, because you're spreading whatever type of energy, negative energy and this and that, man, just know it's not real life, and that most of these people are actual miserable losers. So don't hold yourself against that, and don't feel that bad.
Not us though, guys. Not us. We're cool. Right? Right?
Look, all I can know is the type of people that I want to hang around with are not the type of people that are spreading a bunch of hate and negativity on Twitter. And that's 100%. Just like,
I'll tell you what, man,
that's proven out.
Yeah. It's a product of the situation, right? Like, and I really feel this, and I think it's like, I've thought a lot about it over the past like month, since I'm like pretty much just actually last like 2 months, I just gave up Twitter. Like, I stopped posting. I stopped like putting a lot of intention in it. I use it to try to keep up with like what's going on in the community and shit. But to your point, there's so much negativity, so much shit being slung at each other. Like, to me, it is a clear product of the situation, which is everyone's bags are down. And so they're doing what humans do, and they're deflecting, and they're
defensive,
they're ignoring, they're getting defensive. Everybody is very like just on pins and needles, man. And it's like, I called it out in the Super Plastic Discord. It's like, everybody's like happy go lucky, and then the day that like shit hit the fan and like crypto's down, and all of a sudden everybody's in a bad mood and everybody wants to start flooding stuff, right? But it's like, you have to also remember that, right? Like, it's a product of the situation, right? Like, and some of these people, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, man. Like, some of these people that might have like ugly moments, like it could be because they're dealing with like some serious shit that they got themselves into because of playing the game, right? And it's unfortunate that that's how they react to their situation. But sometimes, like, you have as a compassionate human being yourself, just try to remind yourself that like, this dude might be dealing with some real stuff, and I should take this with a grain of salt, or this chick, whatever,
Yeah, constantly. This is one of the things Q and I have been talking a lot about, Ronan, is the current like mental state of the entire space is very negative right now for a lot of reasons, and understanding that like, yeah, there's a lot of hurt, scared people. But again, the way that you handle that, the way that you project that into the world, I think really matters. And I'm not talking about people that just have like a one-off moment where they're not doing so hot. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there's people that build an entire brand and an identity around being toxic. There's, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about trolls. Those types of people that like a lot of people online think are really cool because they get a lot of followers and shit because
they talk a lot of shit.
Because algorithms fucking encourage that kind of behavior. Most of those people, if you met them in real life, you wouldn't even want to be friends with them. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we had a chicken derby comment, which shout out to you, Flubber. And just through my handy dandy YouTube search bar, I've been able to find the original video on the Web3 network. So this is the NFT arcade. What a throwback here.
This is legendary.
We're gonna sit here and sit back and watch some Kagion playing this chicken derby with Crypto Buffalo. Let's
what I'm
go.
here for.
Let me know that. Let me know if this video is playing okay. First of all, because I know they said that the other side did well. Is that playing good?
Looks good.
Okay, let's roll.
Ready to see a chicken derby race?
Oh yeah.
Are you ready to see a
Yeah,
chicken derby race?
go for it, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the chicken derby and we are off. And leading up in the middle is we got purple hair leading up to the way. Down in the bottom. Bottom is the Asian chicken. Glasses in third. Oh, gun has been fired. It's going to be a photo finish here. Everybody down, everybody down. Pink chicken is in the lead. Glasses up in the second. Do not count our glasses and sunshade. Sunshade most of it. We got Viking pushing in fast. Oh man, we're going to place that. Oh, we got Star Hat. Star Hat is pushing in now. Where are we going, folks? Where is this headed? This is going to be a bunch of doodle-doos. Oh my God, purple is coming back in fresh. Shades is holding strong, but watch out for Star Hat. Star Hat still holding on there. We got Shades.
Mine is a yellow one.
Oh, we got Vikings. Where are we going here? This is going to be a
yellow one. Yeah, let's fight.
Oh my God, this is going to be the crazy. We got Shades. We got Vikings. We got glasses. We got
I got Mario now, baby. I got Mario now, baby. Come on. Come on.
Come on, Vikings. This is what you're paid for here on NFTGo. Vikings holding strong. Oh my God. And this is going to be a crazy race.
Oh, shit.
I know you like Kagi, man, but Buff's narration
killed that.
is what makes it just sing, dude. That is like, I miss Buff. I love that, dude. Thank you for playing that clip. That was awesome.
That was awesome. Wow,
That was so good.
I'm crying.
Man, you know, it was random, but I went back trying to find like some early interviews, and some of our early shit is gone, dude.
What? Man.
Uh-oh.
It's like deleted.
The trolls.
Made
they're
me
out
super
there.
sad.
I don't know. All right. I have to round out the quick hits. We were been all over the train tracks today. This is pretty dope. I saw this on my Twitter timeline as well. I haven't been into inspect.xyz, NFT inspect.xyz, but one feature that they really have a cool filter for is PFP per NFT, which means the percentage of NFTs from the collection that are being used as profile pictures on Twitter. And so obviously there's gonna, like, if I do this filter, some are gonna have 100% that are just like 5 pieces. We need to look at the ones that are pretty large. But Pudgy Penguins coming in at the top when it comes to like larger project at 67%, tied with Bored Ape Yacht Club. Moonbirds, Sappy Seals, Azuki. I thought this was a cool feature. I haven't looked into it fully,
Dude,
but
actually really like this. Like as being able to add in community sentiment, and like this is like an actual, to me, meaningful metric. Like you can fake a lot of different things, you can wash trade, but like how many actual people really fuck with you enough to rock you as their identity, as their PFP? To me, that's actually one of the most powerful signals of a strong community that you can get right now.
I think it's NFT Expect. They have like a Chrome extension. They have a Chrome extension that actually, like, you can see a lot of like community metrics on Twitter about like a project. So if you go to like somebody's page and you click on their profile picture and it's like an ape or whatever, it'll actually link you back to like all this community information about that project, which is really cool. Like that type of stuff. NFT Inspect is I like that one.
have you been? So you've like had a different history with NFT Inspect. Then you've been using it.
Yeah, I've actually used an NFT Expect for at least a year and a half now.
Holy shit! I hadn't been using it at all. I hadn't seen it. I like the PFP feature though. as Gift was saying. I think it's a really cool metric.
I used it mainly for their their portfolio stuff originally.
Again, I feel like you rocking a PFP and having that percentage be available. Those are the metrics we want to see. It's not volume. Like, we have to get away from this volume being the main metric, because that's where all of these like false metrics come in, or like false signals.
Well, really what you want is a smart score of some kind that takes several different reliable data points and metrics in real time and puts them all into like what NFTGo does with their like temperature type thing, right? Like, what you really want to get is like, hey, based upon these 5 reliable signals for strength of a community, and like volume might just be one of those, right? And even then, that volume itself should be caveated or filtered for wash trading. So like, again, that's a tough one right there. But I mean, if you can, it's kind of like diversifying a portfolio, right? By taking multiple different important signals that are hard to fake and important and relevant, then you should be able to get a better picture of what's really going on and how strong a community is. So that to me is the grail, like the holy grail of like understanding the strength of a community and like what's really going on. But I think this is absolutely, to me, like a really strong and important signal. And again, I'm kind of surprised that we haven't looked at this before. I'm actually I feel like Ronan's been kind of holding out on this Chrome extension. I just installed it. So yeah, we'll see what this can do. So,
do you have anything to say for yourself, holding out on us?
Sorry. Actually, no. Actually, hold on.
No.
Didn't we have an episode where we went over like plugins and shit we use? And I'm positive I talked about it. So I don't know. Maybe
might be deleted.
Maybe, or it might be deleted. Fuck, man, it might be deleted.
How does this work though? So it's a Twitter extension. So
I think it's NFT Inspect. That's the Twitter extension that I have. Let me double check that, man. I might have lied to you.
While we're in this, I do want to move on. Guys, we appreciate you being here. We're an hour into the episode. I have to get to NFTGo Bagcheck because we need to get a little bit of the temperature check that Gifted was talking about. So I'm going to say it one more time because we said we have to do it. This has to be a hard, non-negotiable guideline that we have. So Gifted, NFTGo Bagcheck. Okay,
I was not ready. I was not ready. Hold on. Let's redo it. All right, let's redo it.
Right.
I was not ready.
We are here in the handy dandy NFTGo
Bagcheck.
All right, here we go. Barometer's at 30. That's cooling off from 31 yesterday. 30 days profit loss. We're still in losses. Blue chip index is hurting against ETH and USD over the last 7 days, but it's kind of at the same spot it was at. Sitting here, it looks like to start the week for USD at least. Market cap and volume. This is the metric that we're watching to see about this alt season. The obviously the thumbnail and the title are talking about the chaos that we're seeing in macro, even just like global economics, just like global political relations that we'll get to here in a second. But here's what we're watching. Does this trigger this federal interest rate hikes, what we're feeling as inflation kind of coming on, does that trigger an alt season for other cryptocurrencies that are essentially, again, altcoins like ETH, like Polygon, and so on and so forth? If so, this market cap by volume for NFTs against ETH is going to look like shit. And that's what we're seeing in 7 days. Let's zoom out to 30 days. So we're falling off a cliff against ETH here over the last 7 days. If we look at the USD chart, it looks a little bit better over the 30 days because, again, if ETH goes up, we're still going to increase in USD. But again, the question being, are you more likely to do well if you're in ETH as opposed to NFTs? So that's the big question right now, man. Is this chart right here, does this continue down? Or are we going to see NFTs increase with maybe a potential alt season? That's where we're at.
So we are currently sitting lower than how we entered the year right now, like where we're at, right? Like
in ETH, we've totally retraced. Yes. In USD, we're still up again.
Okay, that's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it as, hey, if I'm looking at in USD, I'm up. You know, whenever I sell my NFT will be up because I'm selling into ETH that's more expensive, but you're losing out in ETH terms. That's where we sit. But yeah, good call there because we have basically retraced all the way to the beginning of the year, if not fallen.
Hope you took some W's in that pump. Hope y'all were all doing what you could to survive out here. BTC keeps climbing right now, by the way. I'm just over here on CoinMarketCap while we're doing our market, bag checks and shit. It's getting close to 29K, man.
Okay, we'll touch on
29?
It's just under 29K, man.
I haven't looked at charts in a minute.
Yeah. Wrapped Punks is taking up 33% of the market over the last 7 days. Looks like all besides Pudgy Penguins and making an entrance at 10 are basically the same. We've got Punks and we got Yuga. Azuki is making a run for it as well. And then 24 hours Wrapped Crypto Punks, Doodles, Pudgies.
Can we look at the Pudgy? Can we click in on Pudgy Penguins? Because now I mean, we've all loved it. I actually, have made I made some good trades early on in Pudgy Penguins. I didn't hold long enough, but then, the Will Pudgies too. I've actually made some good calls there. But just the fact that they are one of the most beloved brands by the numbers of who's actually rocking them makes me even more curious. So their floor is holding pretty well. I mean, they're holding better than Doodles on the floor price right now. Holding better than a lot of things, I guess. What's the Moonbirds floor? How bad is that right now?
Yeah, I'll bring up NFT price floor and take a look really quick because now is the time. If you have dry powder, like there are some wrecked projects here. We covered this
3.59 Moonbirds down to 3.5 almost.
Where's Moonbirds at? Pudgy's 4.4. So here's the question, Ronan. I'll just ask you, lightning question: Pudgy Penguin at 4.4 or Moonbird at 3.5?
Pudgy Penguin.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I feel too right now.
I've
30,
I've always had kind of questionable faith in Moonbirds in general, man. And yeah, so as much as like, I don't know, we got some homies that obviously like have Moonbirds and like they love like the project and what they're doing. I don't know, it just always felt, I don't know.
Wait, what's the deal here? I need to hear you say
always felt. I don't know. Yeah,
it just felt like Moonbirds always felt like it was trying to be like a fucking 100 ETH like thing, and it was like being pushed by people to be that. And I don't know, that's not authentic to me. Okay. Like it's like it's the proof thing that led to the Moonbirds thing that like then makes people think that like proof is worth so much more because it just all felt like, I don't know. I don't throw Ponzi around, but that shit felt like a little awkward.
They were financializing it a little bit more than you'd like. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Odds are. Okay. I don't have any proof or anything like that, and I'm not trying to be whatever. No,
I get it.
Still.
Okay.
I think that the thing to me that it's always been a red flag to me is when you focus so much of your brand and identity and like launch strategy around influencers. And that was the thing, like so many big names and everybody talking about the who's who is into this and this person's this and you should like it because this person does this. Like that's never felt authentic or organic to me. Like, hey, I love this project because the art, the artist, look at the community. It's like, no, look at the flashy names that are part of it. That was my thing that always just turns me off about something. And then you see like, where does that get you at the end of the day? Where are those people now? It's like, where are the are any of the big names that were attached to this thing or like were pumping it at the time? Where are they now?
Somebody called out World of Women the other day. I think the World of Women floor is at like 0.1.
What? Wait, is that Galaxy or actual World of Women? No way.
We're talking World of Women. We're talking about Flame. What is the fucking other one?
Is that their secondary drop? So they're. It looks like I see a floor price of 1.2 for what is probably their OG collection. Is that what it is?
World of Women OG 10K is at 1.2. Yeah, it's pretty low.
Is there a secondary collection of these?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
World
the
of Wonder
Galaxy.
Wow,
Yeah.
Galaxy.
Got it.
Wow, Galaxy.
Yeah. Which I
That
have
one's
several
probably
of.
at like fucking point whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we
Oh, damn, I
talked
didn't know this.
we talked about Proof Lord taking the 100 ETH round trip. That sucks. Sorry for y'all that are involved in that one. I don't mean to make light of it. I've been on that same trip, so we can have a drink at the bar and talk about our miseries. But I've got Moonbirds Doodles. Let me add Cool Cats in there at 1.33. What are you buying? Cool Cats,
All right.
Moonbirds, Doodles. It looks like VFriends version 1 is also. This looks like V1, correct?
I'd go VFriend for sure, and maybe a Cool Cat at that price. I mean, they're fucking cheap in my opinion for a Cool Cat, but
I really think like sans Poopy's comments, I was really
Yes.
into what Doodles was
And
doing
Doodles.
and what they were like, where they were going. I know a lot of people were like, what the hell, collect 12 socks, get a gold sock. This is dumb. But like, that's like testing the tech,
It's an
right?
odd
Like,
time to do it, but yeah.
yeah, it's also like, and it's when you do something like that, in my opinion, there needs to be like easier options for like trading and swapping, right? Like versus like everything having to be transactional, like through like, money, right? Like, so to me, that's a play that would have felt better if like they had some sort of ability to like for you to go in and be like, yo, here's my blue sock, let me get your green sock and whatever, right?
Yes. Ronan, you hit on a good point because they launched Doodles too. Obviously, Instagram pulling out of NFTs and like they were going to be heavily involved with maybe Flow. Like there was that idea of maybe making Doodles too like an adoptable NFT type play, which is totally
I think,
a
like-
little bit out the window. But no one's trading. No one's trading
Yeah.
these Doodles twos. Like
Is
there's
is
no
Doodles 2? Yeah, is Doodles 2 basically like I haven't really paid attention to it, and I think part of it is because like I haven't seen anybody really getting that into it or talking about it much. But is Doodles 2 basically already failed? Like, is it just not going anywhere? Is that what it seems like?
Okay, this is coming from the same dude who says we got to be careful about calling rug, right? So
Yeah.
I would say, in my opinion, is it a failure? No. Did it have the net effect or launch effect that they were hoping for? Probably not. Does it have a long way to go before like I think like you can consider it a fail? Yeah, I think like what Doodles is trying to do, to Q's point, is really trying to hit mass adoption, and I think they want to go and get people to go and buy Doodles 2s, for fucking 10 or 20 or $30, right? Like, and then get into the ecosystem for cheap and then take part in it. But they're, obviously again, the way they do it is like questionable. It's like, if you don't have a full experience there that people give a shit about, then why should they give a shit? Right. So
they need to be very careful about, and they're learning on the job as well. On secondary volume, like the things that they launch need to be interactive and want to be traded by users and collectors and all these different things, because they're launching these cool like initiatives would probably be the word. Like Doodles 2 was an initiative. It was a really cool thing. But it flopped and no one's trading it afterwards. So I think they should be really having an eye out on like secondary volume with what they release next.
Well, and I agree with everything y'all are saying, and especially Ronan saying it's still really early to be making any sort of big judgments or calls. I agree with that, but part of the reason why I said that is the fact that like Meta and IG are also like it's like if that was a big part of the play here, that's pretty harsh. Like that can really hurt the whole strategy there if that was a big distribution point or outlet, or where they're expecting a lot of the incoming engagement and onboarding and sales to be happening. Like you can't really just replace Instagram.
No,
you
can't. Gif, I've got your tweet or your response to Andy James's tweet, which I want to pull up regarding Blur, because we do have to let Ronan go here in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Obviously, we've been having the Blur discussion and what it means for the space, over the last, I would say, week or two. even back when they were targeting the 0% royalty. So Blur's been a topic of conversation for a while, but it feels like this little micro environment where they're taking the narrative of what NFTs were and they're making it into shitcoins. Essentially, shitcoins of pictures, I think, was thrown out. Ronan, I want your take before you leave. Here's Andy James's tweet. Farming Blur is tanking your bags, friends. Keep wash trading to the bottom. It'll be great for the evolution of the space. Negative feedback loops are one of the best growth factors in progress. So there's a little bit of sarcasm in here. Gif, I want your take on this tweet since I commented a couple people. You tagged me. What's going on here?
I want Ronan's take.
Oh, man. So, all right. I saw this. Actually, I didn't see this tweet. I saw somebody else's tweet that basically was saying the same thing. Because, it's not like influencers don't steal all their shit all the time. But essentially, at first, my gut reaction was like, yeah, you're fucking shit up, right? But then I saw another tweet that had a different viewpoint. And it was like, well, it's kind of a good point too. Which is a lot of the volume that's going through isn't necessarily intentional to like drive things down. Like you actually have some guys like Machi and people, right, who are like going out there and they're still like trying to uphold these things. And they're kind of taking losses while they're doing it. Now, does the loss outweigh the positive? Because like once you do the math, is it better to get the blur than it is to like, lose 0.5 ETH or whatever? I don't know. But I don't know enough. And this is where like, you guys know me, like, I don't know enough about how these things work to know if we should really be blaming Blur for this, right? Like I understand the concept. I understand why like you can place blame. I understand that they're creating an ecosystem where, you're constantly listing things and selling and buying so you can farm their token that then is worth money later. But again, I don't know how much is actually affecting the macro of the environment and like causing the floor to drop. To me, that's just due to like what's going on in the world. So I don't know. I just don't know enough about it. I wish I was more knowledgeable about like how exactly these things work and how they're being affected by like what Blur's doing. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, correlation is not necessarily causation, but to your point, we don't know how much of the like what I think is kind of going on. Okay, first of all, the way that we've talked about it is like Blur is not responsible for there being weaknesses in the space, but they are responsible for exploiting those weaknesses and having a lot of negative impact here. And I know, Ronan, you're saying like, oh, I don't know if we should blame Blur, but they're the ones creating the new incentive structures and these new standards, right? So it's like you don't have to blame Blur for the fact that like royalties are not necessarily protected on the contract level, but it was their choice to also not find new ways to protect that or make that part of their ether, right? So it's like you do have to blame them for the standards and the incentives that they're creating, because they could also create different incentive structures. They could incentivize people to be bidding differently or operating in different ways, or rewarding based upon, buying projects in a certain way rather than just continuously undercutting and wash trading, right? Or they could do more to stop wash trading. It's like, you do have to blame them for setting up their incentive structures the way that they are and profiting off of the trading volume that they are and exploiting the weaknesses in the space to make profit, right? So it's like, yes, they didn't create the whole world that they're living in, but they are affecting it in a serious way. And I think that while we don't fully understand those effects, especially the long-term effects, I think we all know right now that it's having an impact. And the way that I'm thinking about it is kind of like, Q, the way that you talk about, what is it that we're talking about when it's like is it VC money? I forget what we're talking about, but it's like when you have a bull market, it greatly exaggerates the upside, and when you have a bear market, it greatly exaggerates the downside. I forget what it is that we're talking about when we talk about that.
So DeFi has this feature because there's
Just
a lot
DeFi.
of leverage. There's like
Leverage.
rocket fuel. Yeah.
that's what I think is happening here, is that the way that this is currently operating is it's kind of like a rocket fuel on either way. And so while the macros suck and the market's kind of down, it is, to me, adding rocket fuel to this spiral to the floor. And a big part of that is, again, what I would blame them for is over focusing on trading. So they have made it entirely about trading and farming their token. And so what that does is that makes it completely not about community, art, and other thing, and collecting for the long term. All these things that you could incentivize in different ways too, right?
Yeah. Okay. So my quick response, and then I do have to jump.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate. Are they causing it, or are they taking advantage of the fact that this is how humans are, and this is how they saw an opportunity to make money, right? And it's do you blame the dealer, or do you blame the addict, right? And there's arguments for both, and I don't know where you sit, I don't know where everybody else sits, right? But I think there's an issue there. Second to that, I really like the last point you made, because for me, I'm almost thankful because this is another example of how we have fallen down this massive fucking rabbit hole of NFTs equal financial investment platform, right? To me, this is another example of why we need less of that shit and more of Starbucks and more of free fucking NFTs and more of talking about loyalty and rewards and games and how you open up an ecosystem to make it better for the consumer, right? We have Blur, who is targeting money. And that's the big problem that I have with them, right?
Well, there's not something to counterbalance it. That's the issue. Not that it exists, is that we don't have all the features to counterbalance it.
Yep. And do you put blame on them? Not necessarily, right? We all during this conversation, we talk about the tech, but we also talk about floor prices for half an hour, right?
If you're selling, well, so real quick, just on the drug dealer and addict part, if you are selling a product or a drug in this, and metaphor that is helping somebody, okay, that's one thing. But if you are profiting and directly selling a drug that might be harmful, that is kind of harmful, that's another thing, right? So this is where it's
I can sell you weed, and if you're a responsible adult, you can smoke weed every day and it doesn't affect your productivity. Other side of that is I can sell you weed, and you can be the type of dude who's going to go home, smoke freaking 2 blunts and not do a damn thing all day, right? So who do you blame?
Weed's an interesting choice. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, there's other things out there, I think that.
But is this like weed, or is this like black tar heroin? That's where I'm trying to.
That is the difference.
Figure out.
That is the difference.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point.
So great time for Blur as well to launch for themselves. Look at, other than May, I think May was when Other Deeds launched. That was the dying last breath of whatever volume that we had in the NFT space. Since then, and what would the timeline look like without Blur is my other question. This is just exacerbating all of the issues that we're facing because there was nothing happening. And so there's this huge market now that is being predominantly traded because of Blur tokens, because nothing else is happening. So if this didn't exist, what would the space even look like? What would this chart look like without Blur? And I'm not saying, hey, I want this for our space. I'm just looking at the other timeline of saying, we could be sitting in March 23, all-time lows on volume. You know what I mean? Just nothing's happening. So what happens in that environment? GIF or Ronan even?
Yeah, I guess we don't know.
Right. Yeah. But I do have to drop. Thank you guys so much for another excellent fucking episode. That was really great conversation. I look forward to next week. I hope everybody, actually next week, I don't know if I'll be here. I have a medical procedure on Tuesday. I'm not sure if I'll be okay on Wednesday. So I'll be in touch with you guys. But if not, I fucking love you guys. Maybe I can come through Monday or Thursday.
Of course.
And I love everybody in chat. So have a great day. I'll let you later.
Peace.
Big
later,
love,
man.
bro.
All right, if you are on Twitter, YouTube, if you're listening to us afterwards, we appreciate you guys a lot. OVOT, I see all you guys that are watching on Twitter. I appreciate it as well here in the YouTube comments. So Marty McFly saying Ordinal selling under mint on secondary. Ronan, it looks like Prodigy siding a little bit with Ronan here, and then Donar saying so many people willing to make bank in ways that I would say lack honor. I could not do it. Yeah, it's the same debate. I would love to ask Ronan what he would think about the royalties piece too, because essentially, again, what he said was they're capitalizing on a free market system of saying like, hey, we're offering this feature. Like this is just going to exist, and that's going to be what we'll see what human beings do. Is kind of what the which I side with actually. But there's also this Donar is saying it, and you've said it a lot on the channel as well. Like it could potentially, lack quote unquote honor.
It's just values, man. It's like I understand humans are going to be humans. I understand the history of humanity is a bloody mess. The way that we got here isn't always honest or good. But what I don't like is the nihilistic approach to everything that says we can't do better. You know what I mean? It's just like that's it to me, is that like you're choosing, like you can excuse it and rationalize it by saying it's like, well, this is just how it's always been done. Well, this is just how people are. And like, yeah, okay. But also to me, you're being a weak pussy and you just don't want to stand up for anything better than like, than shitty, behavior. Yeah. And that is what it is, man. Like, again, it's not, I get why it's a thing, dude. I get why it's a thing. I get why you can throw artists under the bus because royalties aren't, it's like, I get it.
I just think both things exist like together. Like this has been my take since the beginning. Like, yeah, blur farming is exacerbating an issue where we have no volume for anything other in the space, whether that be art, like people that are trading PFPs for art and all these different things. Those just are not at scale where we want them to be. Why can't both exist? Has been my take since the beginning. Well,
it's what it comes down to is like again, your personal values and what you're okay with at a certain level, right? Because it's like there's people out there that make a whole bunch of money selling things or doing things that I couldn't do because I disagree with it, my own compass. So at a certain point, again, I get why it's a thing. I'm not saying that they totally created the world that they're taking advantage of. I'm just saying they're definitely operating in a way that doesn't fully agree with my own personal beliefs, right? And that is what it is, man. Like it just is.
It seems, I mean, like here's an exacerbated or something that they're shining a light on is that PFPs are art. They're clearly all PFPs are converging on the floor together. It used to be that you would see some PFPs go for a little bit more because they were more rare and all these different things. Like there's clearly not enough trading going on for those things happening. It seems to be.
And again, I think it's the weakness in the current state of the market that is being exacerbated is a good word for this situation. They're taking advantage of where we're at in a weakened, nascent, new market when there's not a lot of volume and new collectors coming in. And it sucks because I fully disagree with the idea that art doesn't matter in NFTs. You know what I mean? It's
right
like
now. Yes.
Right, but right now it's like they are making it that way. But again, it's not a pure thing, right? They are polluting the calculus with a token and an incentive for this behavior, right? So it's like it's not just like, hey, without Blur doing what they're doing, that everybody would be flooring their favorite PFPs right now, right? Like. They're taking advantage of people being in a weakened state and the fact that there's not a lot of new collectors coming in to appreciate this and not enough utility or driving it yet to create this situation and profit from it. So, again, you can go sell heavy artillery weapons to children and maybe get away with it.
Is too harsh. I think like you're using an analogy that I think is
I'm using an example of values. I'm saying that there's weapons dealers in the world that sleep great at night, making money doing what they're doing, and I see a better world where like maybe there's better ways to make money, hopefully. And maybe that's an idealistic take, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you can disagree with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But here's what I think about it when I'm being totally honest with myself. Is another example of very short term sort of like just grab the money while you can. Doesn't matter what you break or how many artists you hurt. Doesn't matter if you fuck up the whole ethos in the space, because we're getting our fucking bags. And I just hate that short term approach to things, because I think it really hurts the space long term. It damages the sustainability. And so I've said it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think the only people that are really winning in this is Blur. Like, I don't even think a lot of the people that are doing all the farming are necessarily.
Definitely not.
I really don't think a lot of the people that think that they're going to come out ahead with Blur tokens are really even winning. I think that they're all selling their souls a little bit for this, short-term gain. And I feel like the only people winning are Blur.
Okay, we have to get on to the next convo. DJ saying, yo, great discussion today about the state of art. My first NFTs were 101, and I'm moving back to that strong preference as a collector. It really does feel like there's a pendulum, right? And maybe in a bear market, people are less about collecting and more about trading. And maybe in other environments, people are more about collecting and more about trading. Maybe that I'm painting a broad brush, or I'm even generalizing more than I should there. But it just feels like right now, Blur is putting a big fat sack on the trading side. Not saying that the NFT space can't be about collecting. It just feels like it's very much more about trading these days, and Blur is one of the reasons for that. I do want to again pair it, like what would the space look like on a different timeline if we could wave our magic wand and say Blur doesn't exist, and do we see that continuation and downtrend of the NFT volume in the space? Because
I don't think it would be as bad. Like, I think we would, but again, it's the gasoline. It's taking advantage and exacerbating the issues. It's exploiting weaknesses that are already there, right? I think we're in a much worse state than we would have been.
Yeah. Well,
now.
The other side of that is that we would continue to see that chart that we showed earlier just continue to plummet. Like, NFT volumes continue to plummet, and we'd be like in the.
But floors may have held, right. It's like, I don't know. Now we're just like making the shit up because we don't.
It's not making shit up.
That's the truth.
It's a prediction. It's a prediction. Like, okay, so January and February, when we saw a lot of NFT trading, where the projects that we were getting into were pumping, do we even see that? I don't know, but it's a fair question to throw out. Overall.
Well, I think the windows for collecting and flipping would not be this small. That's for one thing, right? People would not be incentivized to just be throwing shit on the floor as fast as they fucking can and not have even maybe the tools to do so. Anyway, there's some great comments over here. Easy in crypto. Shout out Easy. Would have been cool to see you there last night too. Got to hang out with Kane last night. Reppin'. He says, when the hottest, newest, biggest marketplace incentivized greedy behavior, it affects the whole state of things. I agree. Also, DJ Wisdom over here saying that he's going back to collecting one-of-ones, focusing more on that, and that what he says you should do is buy one-of-ones you like, support artists you care about, and be prepared to hold for the long haul. I think that's a solid strategy, and I wish more people were of that mind. But it's good to see, maybe again, to your point, the pendulum, maybe it's starting to like people think in that direction a little bit more.
The question is out in the open, that's for sure. If anything, Blur has made it very apparent and has shown that the question is there. When maybe we did think the NFT space was just about collecting and holding, there's another part of it. So Asmodai is saying, if Blur didn't exist, we would be holding on to our life preservers in the open sea. Fair, look. I love the jokes here, Asmodai. We appreciate it. We are an hour 30 minutes in. I think we got about 10 more minutes here. If you weren't here at the beginning, WAGMI United is shipping their merch here starting near the end of this month. Shout out to WAGMI United. And then shout out to you guys for joining us.
Smash the like for WAGMI United.
Yes, so please smash. I will like this. You know what? Good job. Good job, WAGMI. Okay, last topic for the day. I know we spent a ton of time here on what did we spend? Basically, the state of like PFPs, and then we got into some Blur. But this was the main topic of the day. I woke up to this. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Gif. Have you seen this video?
No.
Okay, so this is
going on?
A representation of what is happening in the world today. This is the paradigm shift of the world moving from a Western world order to an Eastern world order. So we will see. This is a visual representation of that. So as you see, Putin's walking out. Where is he walking out to? Well, Xi Jinping is on the other side of this long ass carpet.
Wow.
They're coming together. This is basically a meeting of both Russia and China to sign a new agreement, essentially. Go ahead.
Was Putin blowing rails before this? What was he doing? He's walking out. He's fucking wiping coke off his nose.
Come on, Putin. You got to do better. SL was saying that's dramatic. Dear friends, Russian President Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping. I just butchered that. Meeting for the second day in Moscow. So they're calling this a strategic partnership for a new era. It's a very symbiotic relationship. Russia's natural resources and military capabilities combined with Chinese technology, industrial sector, and growing geopolitical power, thanks to the insane U.S. foreign policy for hastening the birth of multipolar worlds. So details of this are essentially that Russia is going to adopt the yuan for cross-border payments. So this includes, I believe, I don't know if it includes North Korea or Iran. I need to make sure. It also includes Brazil as well. So multiple different countries are now combining to do cross-border and international trade with the yuan, as opposed to what it's always been is that U.S. petrodollar kind of kingpin level of control on world trade. Xi Jinping. So I appreciate that. Easy in Crypto, thank you for talking about it. He's saying WAGMI finally. Okay, so that's what I woke up to. We have the Federal Reserve having their announcement about rate hikes right now. So we might even have an announcement now. Markets are reacting to both of these events. You know, Bitcoin. What does Bitcoin look like in a world where potentially the U.S. dollar is not the world reserve currency, where we have the trading happening all in USD? What does the Bitcoin do in massive inflation, in areas where we're, raising interest rates? This is the macro environment that is affecting us in Web3. Gif, I know that was a lot to throw at you. That was a fire hose. I see your mind twirling right now, but just on the initial piece, I'll kind of look up the Fed, what the announcement from the Fed, but just on seeing China and Russia together forming this kind of new world order, what do you think?
Oh man. Does the same sort of rules of like competition generally being good for markets apply here? You know what I mean? Is there an optimistic take where it's like it's good to have more competition for the dollar, being like the global standard reserve currency? I don't know, right? As an American, it's a little scary to think that, oh no, the dollar is like losing its stature in the world, right? I mean, but what does that actually mean? I have no idea yet. This is all remains to be seen, but
de-dollarization is what they're calling it. So already 2/3 of Russia-China trade happened with the yuan and ruble. Russia will use Chinese yuan to trade with Asia, Africa, and Latin America. I think Russia also forgave about $20 billion worth of African debt. So you can see like Africa being important in this world order, if you will, this East versus West. If you can get Africa, which is going to be, moving into more, out of developing countries, into potentially like second world, first world countries. We'll see.
Well, and Prodigy's making a good point. Like this is more than just like an economic summit, right? There's wars happening right now, and that's the other really scary part of this too. I think, my understanding of what China's been doing, which is it's not great. Again, I'm not like super deep into geopolitics and all that shit, but I try and pay attention. To the news. my understanding of like what's been happening over the last couple decades, I guess now, is China has been really smart about the way that they are creating infrastructure and sort of indebting, developing nations to them. So China, again, as far as I know, is already embedded deeply in Africa and probably in South America, probably in other places, right? And so, them being able to guarantee that their currency is used more broadly for global trade, it's probably all been part of the master plan. It's probably really, really smart, right? What does all this mean for crypto, though, right? It's like that's what we want to try and understand at the end of the day is like, obviously, how does this affect dollar? How does this affect us as Americans and all that type of stuff? Doesn't seem good for the dollar, at least just on initial glance. It doesn't seem great. The de-dollarization doesn't sound like a good thing for the U.S. dollar. But is it good for crypto? Again, like you'd think, if nothing else, this might create more instability in the world. It's a horrifying thought to think that this type of alliance / economic attack may create even more incentive for the US to want to go to war. That's a horrifying thought. You know what I mean? If the US's position as the global leader with the global currency is actually being strategically threatened and annihilated or hurt here or strategically attacked, what does that do to the calculus of our administration in terms of like firing back and getting more involved in the war in Ukraine and all this type of stuff that's happening? It feels like there could be some kind of escalation happening here, which Prodigy is kind of alluding to. So that's kind of the horrifying part of how this stuff tends to play out. But
I don't want to come off as too pro-Americana here. The Pax Americana that's existed for a long time after World War II. Don R. saying, I've seen many of these moments in my life. I believe the United States duck and cover in my childhood for nuclear war. Japan owning every U.S. company. Our people prevail. The one thing I will say is like with China, it always feels like we see the best of China. Like whenever we hear about the news, we're getting the best of what's happening from China, and they have their own problems. Like if you follow, like Peter Zahan's a great one. I think he's like so anti-China with his takes that like he's almost, we're talking about the pendulum, like he's on one side, but like China has a lot of their own issues, but we see the best of them. Whereas Russia, it feels like we get a lot of like here in the West, like I feel like get a little bit more news of like the negative things that are happening with them. So that's my one thing is like this all feels like, oh, China is like overtaking us in the next 5 years. We'll all be speaking Chinese. It's like, they have their own issues both internally and diplomatically. But again, we're not sitting up here. We don't have political science degrees, so we're not going to like wax poetic about things. As you guys just saw, it looks like they are in fact raising the interest rates for the predicted 0.25 percentage points, so 25 basis points. So 8 consecutive rate hikes over the past year to fight inflation. I think again in the chats that I'm in, a couple chats, one with Mike Finch and another with a couple other people that are more like Bitcoin maxis, more large, like they're looking at the macro markets and stuff like that more than they're on the front lines with us. This is predicted and is going to play out well for prices. I'm hesitant to look at the CoinGecko chart here again. Let's see what the initial take will be here as we just got that announcement like 10 minutes ago. But I think
it's dropping right now. So It was up around just under 29K and it just dropped a little bit.
It was up above 29K.
No, it was up just below it, around 29K, but just below 29K. And it's now dropped back down to 28.3. So little drop here. We'll see what happens, but I don't think it's going to change the trajectory of Bitcoin too much. If this was already factored in, like people were expecting this, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me zoom out here because we're on the daily. Let's see if we can get to like an hourly chart. So yeah, we're like in this moment when they announced, looks like there's some super volatile price swing here. You can see going all the way up to, like Gift Ed was saying, 28.9 and falling all the way to 27,880. So some volatile swings. Again, I think this was predicted. If they came out and were like 0.5, or if they came out and lowered interest rates, I think people would be freaking out a little bit. More so because again, it's like, I forgot the exact quote from the Joker, but it's like, if you tell people what's going to happen and that happens, they don't freak out, even if that is bad, you know. But if you tell people something and something opposite happens, everybody freaks the fuck out. So we will see. Easy is saying China spends billions on propaganda to make that very specifically. Yep. For example, they don't lead on green energy. EU, US, Canada, UK, Israel, Australia, plus a few versus Russia, China, and a few. I think the allies will prevail. In 1984, Donar saying, in 1984, George Orwell creates an enemy to pull citizens together. Read the book.
I love this. You know, you were saying you don't want to get too Americana or whatever, but you know what? I love America. I want this country to succeed, man. And it's been I feel like it's been an unfortunate last decade, almost, seeing a lot of things. But but you know what? I think we're all here to see the U.S. succeed and prevail. And you know, it was smart people like you, Nifty Q, and with the smart people in this chat. How can we not prevail? How can we not succeed at the end of the day?
We will carve out our little bubble here in the Web3 space and on the digital frontier here. All right, Gifted is
you see, we say that now. We'll see where we are in a year. Maybe I'll be living in freaking Malaysia. Well, I don't know.
That's not much confidence. Gifted was just like, yeah, pro US, but I might just leave at the drop of the hat.
Dude,
I might be in Malaysia.
We got to get our shit together on the fucking tech and innovation side, man. Let's be pro business. Let's be pro entrepreneurs. Let's be pro innovation in this fucking country. Let's not let East. Let's not let the East fucking eat our lunch by being more friendly to innovation and Web3. Like that's.
Yeah. That seems to be the more prevalent issue here. It's not what China and Russia are doing. It's in our own country.
What the U.S. is doing.
Yeah. Where we see our country going. It's like you guys are focused on all the wrong things. Like what?
It's ours to lose.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a real great point to wrap it up. That's going to wrap up today's episode of NFT Live. We're covering global macroeconomics, political science, just all the things that we have degrees in pretty much. What would you say your degree level would be in NFTs at this point, Gifted? Are you like, did you get your bachelor's yet? You got your bachelor's?
Oh, in NFTs.
In NFTs, are you like a pre-PhD?
I feel like I'm if not already a master's, then I'm very close to finishing my master's at this point. Like, I mean, I felt like grad school, like Clubhouse was freaking grad school.
That was the associate degree. Yeah. Oh, really?
Okay. Once if we wanted to go that way, then we could say that Clubhouse was the associate degree. Because it definitely felt like a college environment. And so, since then we can say that I've been working on my master's, and I feel like I'm pretty close to there. But you know what, to me, let's say that I'm around master's level at this point. The doctorate to me is actually surviving and thriving and coming out of this bear market. So if we can actually get to the other side of this thing together, I feel like you're a fucking professor at that point. You are PhD level. And so if you're still here working on that NFT PhD with us, fam, respect.
Dude, I like that.
We will get there together.
Hold up. I like that line.
We should
NFT PhD. Someone's
like
gonna take that in 5 seconds.
we should actually, you know, we like to talk about some of these commemorative NFTs that have been happening lately. We should actually create the NFT PhD from Web3. Like, we should create some kind of NFT for that, for the fam that have been here, that stick through and survive. Kind of like the fucking, you know, I lived through the bear market. All I got was this shitty JPEG, that type of thing. We should maybe think about like an NFT PhD degree NFT, something like that.
You heard it here first, folks. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hey, before you leave, please leave a like on the episode. You know it helps us out a bunch. Our vibe, our tribe. I'll let Gifted take us out. Nothing you heard here is financial advice, by the way. Nothing you heard about Putin, nothing you heard about the U.S. or Biden or NFTs or Blur taking over the world and being the reason why all these things are happening was financial advice.
None of it. It's actually the opposite of financial advice. You should literally do the opposite of everything that we ever say here. Look, I want to first and foremost shout out the homie Kane Mayfield, who absolutely destroyed the Disrupt LA stage last night. Came through, flew out to LA, did his panels, and then performed as well. Freaking killed it. We got to hear some new music from him, and it was my first time getting to see him live. So shout out Kane Mayfield. Shout out Jack's Hideaway. Big part of our community. He was here earlier in the chat. He's here a lot. We really appreciate him. He actually was running production on Disrupt LA. So he was managing the show, man, and it was beautiful. The production was amazing. So shout out Jack's Hideaway, shout out Kane, shout out Cas Vegas, shout out Trish Rita, all of the amazing people, and Mr. Hodler, who produced the show. I thought it was a really, really cool event, and I'm excited to see what Disrupt LA does next. And it's always cool to see the people in our community executing a fucking cool vision like that, man. So wanted to say that.
Hey, we appreciate you guys here at home that are like supporting us every day as well. I'm looking forward to getting out to the next event, but in that meantime, when we're connecting here in the Big M metaverse, it's awesome to have you guys here supporting us and let us know how we can support you.
Yeah. And with that, our vibe, our tribe.